Welcome. This is Grammy Queen. If you are joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we ignite that which dwells from within us, that which comes alive, makes us smile, makes us laugh. Hence, we say the crimson light is life. So, the crimson light is our journey to actualizing self love. This is where we are having fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. We have hinged onto the word sacrifice because we sacrifice, which equals 10. 10, really, if we all know about the story of Christ, which I think everyone does, Christ got crucified on the cross to save us, and if we repent of our sins and love our neighbors as ourselves, and love, well, there's lots to Christ's teaching, but when we learn this, we hinge on to this. This is our tree of life, if you like, the word sacrifice, and we anchor from numbers 1 to 9. This is numerology we are working with. 1, of course, if you were wondering about 10, 10 is 1. Okay, so basically, even we know with 1, the first man we told was created, and when we do the numerical value for man, that equals 10. Let's see. So this is 5, 1, 4. So man equals 10. So this is where we associate number 1 with being number the first. Okay. But in fact, I think I have done this before to have the word first. And that was interesting. I'm just thinking to do that again. I know I have. And there are 2 nines in first because first is also, it means that first had to birth something or something birthed in first, whichever. Okay, so that's 9 and 9, 18, and 2, that's 20, 26, 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. So basically, this is what we are seeing. So first, 2 plus 7 is 9. Yeah. Now, I'm really wanting to remember this because where we have been, oh, it's now this is delicious. That's what I mean. I had just done a presentation and didn't really connect on this point. I connected on the point of 5 when we do the numerical value for the word end, like God says, I'm the beginning and the end. End is 5. We know that Christ is 5, and that's why it was said that Christ came as the last Adam, the last man, to have this sacrifice. Now, there's this thing about the last man, because it's as if there is a recognition in that statement that all the stories like Adam and Eve, or Cain and Abel, or Sarah and Abraham, and Job, and his children, those are stories that have been conveyed to us as if there's all of them had a sacrificial aspect to them. All of them had some message. The prodigal son. I love the prodigal son, really. All of those stories were conveying a similar message about God, our Father, or God as a father really loves us so much that he is ready to give so much of himself for us. For the prodigal son, for instance, it was the father with 2 sons, and one son said, look, you're rich and you have so much. I don't really want to wait till you die for me to enjoy what you're going to leave for me. So can you give me my share of abundance and let me just go ahead and have do as I please? And the father allowed him to do so. And of course, he squandered all his money, all his wealth, and found himself eating with pigs until he realized that, hey, that would have never happened to me had I stayed in my father's kingdom. So of course he knew where to go back and says, I am sorry, I have squandered. So basically, this is the story that we are all that has been passed on from generation, and this is the thread of the story that we have been passed on, and in it's there's a degree of sacrifice. Wouldn't you imagine that it would really um like touch a father to say, oh my, I know my son is not really experienced for him to really deal with all these issues that he might have to face in the world, because I have been there and I know what it takes to really survive in that world. But however, I'm going to allow him to explore and express and gain some wisdom in this life out of her. The other part of the story is that the son who stayed at home was no way half as wise as the one who had gone and squandered his wealth. He didn't know what it was like to be out of the kingdom in the big bad world, so to speak. He had no idea what it was to eat with pigs, or feel remorse, or feel regretful, or feel empathic, or feel accepting or deserving. In fact, all those things were out of his his thinking or his way of seeing things. So much so that he said to the father, I don't believe you that I have been here with you, working with you all this time, and you have never thrown a party for me like you have done with me with Ezekiel. Well, it wasn't Ezekiel, but oh, John. And you haven't done this, and I'm here. I can't believe this. The only thing that really transpired in that moment from that son who stayed at home was that his seed of resentment was what had come up. His seed of jealousy was what had come up. And that was really another thing. He probably should have said thank you to his brother for teaching me to know what's inside of me here, because I hadn't realized that I was a jealous person or I had resentment. So basically, here we see that when we have 10, that's what 10 permits us to do. It permits us to actually accept the resources we have and say, okay, like the prodigal son, what next? What do I do with this money? Of course, he was at that position. Every time we make a decision, that's what we are doing. He had birthed the idea of asking the father. Then he did ask the father. So the father giving it his wealth was another sense of birth. Okay. He went to town, he was birthing ideas, he was spending, he was squandering, he was having fun, perhaps not too. But whatever was happening, there were cycles of birth. Now back to the point with the cycle of birth, where I was seeing that with the 9, because here we see that new hair goes in with 5 as the end, and when we see first, the word first also equals 9. Now here it is said 9 is the beginning, so we see first and 9 is coinciding very well here. So it's like what we see as the end here, because of course the end and the beginning do meet here, because we are using the word sacrifice as our template and our hinge. We see with ice, which melts into this E. This E here equals 5, and there we have the 9. It's as if the end of sacrifice, where it is all ice and cold, is like saying that's going to melt away. Something new is going to be birthed. 5 is the end. That's what happened when Eve ate of the fruit and her eye was open. So eating of the fruit had merged, she merged into a new dimension. Hence the eye, her eye was open. When we do the numerical value for the word eye, her eye was open. That equaled 8. The numerical value for the word I equals 17, which is exact correlation with the word God. And when we do God, 1 and 7 together equals 8. That's where Eve saw God. Eve saw God, or Eve recognized that she was God, which I would rather say. This is why this I is what we are always making presentation or reference to ourselves as. Hey, when we are able to say I in a collective way, when we are able to say this I, we are actually recognizing God in us. When I can look at you, or you are speaking to me and making reference to yourself as I, and I address you or reverence you or respect you as a child, we say a child of God or of God. Hey, I know you are in this dimension. I know you are wise as a fox, if you like. There is the T and hair with the E, with Mother Eve is still with you. Mother Eve is with us. We have that generation of care, and that is reflected. Hey, as you go on your journey, you are meeting your gypsy journey, all the people you are meeting, you ought to recognize them as the collective I, like yourself. So I hope you have found this insightful somehow, or delicious, which I find really delicious. The first man, let's say Adam, the first man, and we have done this. Adam equals 10. We have done this, ADAM, which is 4141. We have worked with this. When we add this, as in add, dam, the syllables, each syllable we could say equals 5. We see as though that Mother Eve was present in the add and the am, which is 5, or the Christ Spirit. So we can also understand why it is said the Christ Spirit. When we add these together, of course, equals 10, Adam and Eve. So Eve is 5 and Adam is 1, because 10, of course, 10 is the 1, and there's the 6. This is where the 2 are added. We see in that there's a reflection of Mother Eve here, but when we add these together, we see the 2, because of course she gave to her husband of the fruit. Okay, I hope you have understood this, and perhaps you have understood it even better than I have. So do leave your comments, do share, like, and subscribe. It'd be so nice to hear your viewpoints on those things. Okay, thank you for watching. Do share, as I say, because this is how we do it, to actualizing self-full love, because our journey is about getting a sense of fullness of love, of course, enough that it spills over. Hence, I say spill over with love and stay ignited. Namaste.